Aston Villa aren't just keeping pace with the top six, they're outthinking them, and Unai Emery has quietly built one of the most tactically complete teams in the league. Over the past few years, we've kind of accepted that breaking into the top four consistently is nearly impossible unless you spend like the elite. Some teams amongst the other 14 have done it, but the following season they've paid the price and dropped out. It's very, very rarely happening season on season, but Villa haven't really followed that rule. They're third, balanced in Europe, and are on a huge winning run. And this isn't the first time. Season after season, Villa are building, being successful, qualifying for Europe, getting far in Europe, and don't really seem to be suffering. They're doing it without dominating possession or creating loads of chances. So today I want to properly break down why this isn't a fluke and the tactics behind how Villa keep being successful year on year. Because when you watch them closely, this is one of the most structured, coach-led teams in the Premier League. When you think of Emery's teams historically, Sevilla, Villarreal, even Arsenal at times, they all shared the same DNA. They're not chaos teams, they're not heavy pressing machines, they don't want 65% possession, they want control through structure. Emery is obsessed with distances between players, defensive compactness and game management, and Villa are basically the purest version of that philosophy. They don't beat you with volume, they beat you with precision. Now, normally I begin these tactical explainers with attacking setups, but this week we're going to do it the other way round. Because what I think is really interesting about Villa this season is how much stronger their defence is. They're ranking third for goals conceded this season with just 1.1 per 90, compared to last season where they ranked 10th. Of course, there's still plenty of time left this season, but even the eye test tells you there's been a definite boost in defensive solidity. So, that being said, Villa set up in a 4-2-3-1 on paper, but that is just the starting point. As soon as they lose the ball, it flattens into a really narrow 4-4-2. The number 10, which is often Youri Tielemans or Morgan Rogers, step up next to Watkins to form the first line of pressure. Behind that, you get two really tight banks of four. The key thing is how small those gaps are. There's almost no space between midfield and defence, so centrally you just can't play. Everything gets funneled wide, and that is deliberate. Emery basically tells the opposition, if you want to beat us, cross it. What I really like is that Villa don't press emotionally, they press rationally. They stay in that mid-block, shuffle side to side and only jump when there's a clear trigger. So maybe it's a bad touch, a backwards pass, or the opposition six receiving the ball with their back to goal. Then suddenly, Villa claps on you. It's less about winning the ball high and more about winning it cleanly, which means that when they regain it, they're already organised to counter, which is why Villa are so good in transitions. This system works because the profiles fit perfectly. Ezri Konsa is brilliant at defending space, Pau Torres is calm in the build-up, Kamara and Onana screen everything, and Martinez sweeps aggressively. So structurally and individually, they're built to protect the middle of the pitch. And that's why their defensive numbers are so strong. They don't concede counter-attacking goals, which is crazy considering how many teams overcommit nowadays. But Villa are going against the grain, they just don't do it. They're always balanced. Once Villa win the ball, everything changes. They go vertical instantly. Usually it's Kamara or Onana playing it to Tielemans or McGinn, and then they play it to Rogers or Watkins who are running beyond. 3 passes and they're in the final third. There's no slow build-up. It's very direct but still controlled. They create little triangles on one side and just race forward. Next up, their attacking structure in possession. When Villa actually sustain possession, it's really interesting. You'll see Youri Tielemans drifting between the lines, McGinn and Rogers tucking inside, and fullbacks providing the width. So you get this narrow box midfield with overlapping fullbacks. If you want to find out more about box midfields and how they work, I've done a previous video explaining all of that, so go and check it out. But for Villa, it creates central overloads and gives them crossing options. It's not fluid like Manchester City, but it's more positional and functional. Everyone has a job rather than freedom. Like any team, Villa have had a bit of luck. In football, no one performs well all the time without a little bit of something going their way. But statistically, this is where Villa are super interesting, because their attacking numbers don't scream top 3. Their XG is mid-table, their shot quality is low, and they don't create loads of chances, but they keep winning. The reason for that is that they're ridiculously clinical. They only need 1 or 2 good moments. It's very tournament football and very Emery. Think about where he's had the most success throughout his managerial career. Tournament football. He keeps the game tight, waits, and then punishes when the moment arrives. And this season, Villa are applying that concept but to the Premier League. When the season started, nobody would have expected Villa to be sitting third, way past the halfway mark, but Emery's done it. One adjustment he made mid-season is encouraging more shots from distance, which sounds simple, but tactically it's really smart. Teams sit deep against Villa because they're compact, so instead of forcing perfect chances, they just shoot. And for that, they lead the league for goals outside the box. That forces defenders to step out, and when defenders step out, space opens behind. It's basically using long shots to stretch low blocks. Another Emery trademark is in-game management. Villa are so much better at this after half-time. In the second half, Emery tweaks small things. He moves Tielemans higher, changes the pressing triggers, and puts fresh legs out wide, and they are slightly more direct. No dramatic changes, just smart marginal gains. They wear teams down first, and then strike. Again, it's very tournament football. Another key factor which has allowed Villa to build year on year is their squad building logic. Their recruitment is so clever. There's no vanity signings, no luxury players, everyone works, everyone fits the structure, and in a day and age where you've got sporting directors bringing in players, at Villa it seems that these players always fit Emery's system and it's players that he actually wants. And that's why they don't fall apart when rotating for Europe, because his system stays intact. Emery's system is perfect against top sides because big teams want rhythm and space, and Villa give them neither. They slow the game down, defend deep, then counter. So suddenly, teams like Manchester City look rushed, and that's how Villa picked up their win against them earlier in the season. They drag you into an ugly match and beat you there. Big question though is this sustainable? And the simple answer is yes. They've already proved it is because they've continued to do it year on year, and tactically they've been superb. They're defensively solid, structure's good, and they're ruthless on transition. Even with a lack of chances, they've got that clinicality, but even when the finishing calls off, they'll still be hard to beat because of their defence and their structure. And that is exactly what keeps you in the top four year on year. Villa aren't flashy, they're not dominant, and they're not creating loads, but they're organised, disciplined, and coached incredibly well. And this season, that's proven to be more reliable. Unai Emery has built the smartest team in the Premier League, and right now, that's enough to sit third and maybe dream even bigger. So what do you think? Will Villa qualify for the Champions League this season, and could they even push for that second place spot? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That is where I'm going to end today's podcast, but there are plenty of others that you can go and listen to. For more content, be sure to check out my website, that's inmrfootball.co.uk. On there you can find match reports, live blogs, club updates and so much more. And if that's not enough, INMR is also on X and Instagram, so you can follow me on both of those platforms for even more daily football content. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.